Alright. Today's date is the 20th of April, 2020, and this is the final presentation for Xiphos for CIT 280. My name is Alex Holst, and I was a backend developer and Scrum Master. So my goals for this project were to understand what a Scrum Master does, and to have a functioning Google Maps implemented into the project at the end.
My name is Bo DeYoung. I was the front-end administrator. My goals for this project was to have a clean-looking UI that is easy to use as well as navigate for the user.
My name's Richard Robertson. I was the backend administrator and in charge of documentation. My goals were to manage the controllers, deploy the application, and also write up instructions in the project notebook.
My name is Tanner Rabb, and I am the database administrator for this application. And my main goal for this sprint was to create a database and set it up so that the application has the ability to perform CRUD operations.
I am Tom Farr. I was a backend developer and I looked at quality assurance. During these final sprints, I was looking heavily at authorization and authentication. Now, if we look at the goals of our application, Xiphos, it was to help students find work and find experience through work and help employers find students to complete individual tasks. And we had them connect easily with their emails. Now, the current owners of Xiphos is the team that you just heard, Alex, Bo, Richard, Tanner, and Tom. And our stakeholder is John Vilas.
Some of the user stories that we were able to complete throughout the project. For students, we wanted them to be able to find nearby jobs quickly and easily. We wanted them to be able to browse and search for employers and jobs, be able to contact employers about jobs they're interested, also be able to log in and out and have CRUD operations on their own profile. For administrators, we wanted them to be able to update their view and the UI at any time, and also reserve the right to edit or delete any job posts or profiles they deemed fit. And as employers, we wanted them to be able to browse and search for students, contact students about their jobs, or be contacted by students, as well as be able to create job posts and run CRUD operations on those job posts as well as their profiles.
At this point, we'll take you to the demonstration of the website. Once you boot the website up, it'll take you here to the home screen. It has the welcome, and at this point, the user may be new to our website, so we do have a Learn More tab, which takes you to the documentation point of the nav bar. So if we head there right now, it actually has full instructions on how to use the app and all of its dashboards and how they work. You go back home, say you're a student and you want to go to the student dashboard. If you have not logged in or registered yet, the app won't let you go any further. So at this point, they need to register. Once they have registered, it'll take them to a user dashboard to then create the user. Depending on who they are, either employer or student. At this point, I'll say I'm a student. all these different locations, like description, just kind of gives the student some time to talk about themselves if they would like. They can talk about their major, their school, as well as how many years they've been in school. After that, they can create their user, and then they'll show up within these students. Now, if we go back, we can take a look at the student dashboard. The student dashboard allows students to look at all the jobs. They can look at the jobs. Here's a bunch of different jobs right here that are posted. If the student wants to look in a certain location, they are able to search for specific locations, and then that one will show up. Now, if the student is interested in that job, they can hit the details button, and it'll give more a description of what the job is and everything, required skills that the employer is looking for. And then if the student is still interested in the job, they are able to hit the contact employer button, which then will take them to their email and directly email that employer. Student is also able to look at their profile. From their profile, they are able to edit if they would like. And from here, they can change kind of whatever they want. And then they're able to save, and then it has been changed. Now, if say a student or an employer or an admin they don't really understand how the dashboard works, these help buttons right here on the side will take them to the correct area in the documentation page for that dashboard. So then they're able to read about the dashboard to learn a little bit more. Heading over to the employer dashboard, there's a jobs list, which will show the jobs list for an employer. Here, the employer is able to create a new job. The user ID will end up becoming the user ID of the employer. Then they can create the job. They can edit jobs, as well as delete jobs if they would like. The employer dashboard, they also have a profile button. Works exactly the same as the student profile button. They're able to edit and look at their profile. And then they also have a help button. Heading over to the administrator dashboard. The administrator dashboard has a full users list. This will have all of the users within the whole entire application. So it has the admins as well as the students and employers. From here, the admin is able to create a user if they'd like, and it would take them to a create user dashboard where they can pick which user they would like to create. And clicking on it will give the correct model of that user. As well as they can edit any user and also delete. Now we can head over to the jobs list. This will be a full jobs list here of with all the employers. Here the admin is able to do the same thing as the users list by creating new. When they do the user ID, this has all the user IDs of the employers, so they can make job posts for the employers if the employers are having trouble or something. And then they can also edit if they say the employer doesn't have correct information or anything like that, and delete. Now, if users ever need to contact the administrators, we do have a contact page that has email to any of the administrators in the contact administrators navbar. Moving over to our user map. The user is able to boot up the map, and then they can kind of zoom in on the location where they want to put the posting. They can put a little posting, they can put description about the job here, and they can hit save, and it'll say waiting for admin confirm. They can look at the other spots where there's postings. Now if we go to the admin map, the admin comes over and will confirm the location and save it. And then when you go back to the user map, it has been confirmed. And that is the functionality of our application.
So for the biggest issues that we ran into throughout this project, we ran into a lot of issues merging our branches onto our GitHub repository. We shortly realized the reasoning for this was the DLL files kept causing conflicts in the merges. Also, after we deployed the app, it was causing a generic error every time we tried to register or log in, just saying your request could not be processed. It took us a while to find out what happened is that the account controller that manages all the accounts was trying to read and write from a table that was not, or I'm sorry, a database that was not there and was only local.
Issue was, so when we pulled the app down from GitHub, it would, some folders in Visual Studios, like the folders with our views, the views wouldn't actually show up in Visual Studios, but when you ran the app, the views seemed like they were there because it would work properly. Well, an issue we ran into is when we finally deployed it, if those views weren't in Visual Studio's solution, it would send an error. I kind of had made a workaround of that issue by just making another view off of the controller, but another student had showed me that if I go to the actual files of the application, I can find the views from the files and then drag them over into Visual Studios, and it'll place it back in Visual Studio for me. When I was trying to create the jobs list for the employers, and I wanted it to only pull the jobs for that certain employer, and then I wanted that employer to be able to edit that, those jobs of theirs. The program wanted an ID to be submitted when you began editing. So I ran into an issue where the employer was allowed to edit the ID, which I did not want. So after a lot of time spending on my own trying to figure it out, I had reached out to my teacher, John Velas, and he got in and he helped me out with a solution where we created it into a read-only, so they could see the ID, but they aren't able to touch it.
Okay, for the Google Maps with SQL. So Google Maps simply cannot talk to a SQL database, and in the early beginning of this project we had a MySQL database. So I thought, hey, it'll be perfect, it'll work. But we had to switch over to a SQL database pretty late in the project, and we just decided that it wouldn't be worth trying to swap it back. So I went out and created my own personal MySQL database for my Google Maps. And then going off of that point, our stakeholder doesn't know this, but the day before this meeting, what I hosted off, which was MySQL, MySQL.com, went down completely. Their website went down, their service went down, there was no contact, their email server went down, everything went down. No warning, no nothing, it just died on us. I have no idea what happened. So I went out and I swapped it over to a new database.
This is Tom. I had some problems with my migrations, thus creating more assigning user roles. It was kind of new to me. I have done it before in previous classes, but something was wrong somewhere in there, and I was unable to complete my task of assigning user roles.
Some of the issues I ran into were deploying a SQL database onto AWS. I just simply have never done this before, so it was just a matter of me trying to go out and find resources that would walk me through the steps of taking my local database and moving that from my computer onto AWS so that the application is able to interact with it. And after some time, I was able to find that resource, and it was fairly easy trying to deploy it. And lastly, as a team, one of our issues was just time management. Once we got into the later sprints, we kind of realized like, oh, we need to like kind of step it up here. Or we're not gonna be able to finish. Luckily, everyone kind of picked up their pace, and we were able to put out a pretty good final project. So for the next potential phase of this application, there are a few things that we did not complete that we wanted to. The biggest one being connecting a registered account to a student or employee role. As you saw in the demonstration, we were able to register an account, but that account still had access to everything on our application, whether they were a student or an employer. So going on in the next sprint, we would want to add that, so if you register as a user or as a student, you wouldn't have access to the employer, let's say like posting a job or access to the admin map or things like that. The next thing is adding just clearer sorting for user roles in the admin dashboard. Right now, you can sort. It's not really clear on how to do that. You just have to click the header, but we'd want to add radio buttons, so for future admins, it would just be as clear as possible for them. Moving the admin map into the admin dashboard, that's just simply so students or employers don't have access or have no way to get to the admin dashboard. Finding Google Maps to all job listings. As Alex said, he wasn't able to connect his Google Maps with our SQL database just because of how the API works. So in a future sprint, we'd have to either figure out how to do that or simply switch to MySQL. So then when you make the additions to the Google Map, they would be entered into the database as a job listing with a location on there. Also, we would like to verify the student EDU emails. This is simply just so when they register as a student, we can really verify that they are a student, because we don't want someone going out registering with a fake student email and maybe taking someone else's opportunity to register as their student email on our website. We'd also like to add Google Authentication for employers, just so it's as easy as possible for employers to register and get started with using our website. And lastly, we'd want to make a customized domain, as it would just be easier for people to remember like how to get to our website or how to search us up, rather than having our current domain, which is fairly lengthy. Any questions?
Well, you guys kind of pulled it off in the end. It took you a little bit. It seemed to in the middle there when you kind of dogged down a little bit, and then got her back in gear. And it looks like you kind of pulled it together and knocked out a functioning app. I like the idea of the next phase. Does it feel like for you guys, like the next phase is really a lot of it would be kind of like the cleaning up and getting it to the point where it would be functional?
Yeah, so that comes back to really like the user roles thing, because I mean right now, like you can do CRUD operations, like you can still interact with it, but if we really did want to deploy this to the public, I mean, they wouldn't be able to like register as a student or anything right now. So it definitely be just going into cleaning that up to make it like truly functional, I guess.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys this. So you are where you are now. This is, week 15, finals week in that. Knowing what you would want, where you'd want to be, which it seems like your next phase or whatever, as to when you could actually deploy this as a functioning app. So with that all in mind, and thinking about what you're gonna, what you'd have to do moving forward to get it through that next phase, what you have right now, where would you like to have been in the semester? So like at what week do you feel if you would have been with regard to your application would have been to where it is right now, do you feel you could have finished out the application and deployed it as basically as a functioning application, maybe with not all of the feature set that you wanted? So where do you think you should have been in the semester? And when I say should, I'm not saying like that you guys did anything wrong. I'm just saying in retrospect, where would you have liked to have been right now?
I feel like if we were at the point that we are right now at Sprint 3, we would have been sitting pretty good.
Yeah, I was thinking the same as well.
So the end of Sprint 3, having gotten this far at the end of Sprint 3, and then Sprint 4 would be kind of the next phase, putting all that stuff in. And then Sprint 5 would be the opportunity to just kind of polish up all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. So, you guys, like I said, you guys did a good job. You kind of pulled it off in the end. You started out a little bit slow and got bogged down in some of the aspects of teamwork and the aspects of just the complexity of dealing with what we refer to as a full stack application. So a little more complicated. It's a little more complicated, period, because most of you guys have not deployed anything full stack, and then on top of that, you guys have not deployed something full stack with 5 people in it. So yeah, otherwise, good job. Cool, nice presentation, by the way. You guys did a nice job of laying it out.